or him not asking, will you be my girlfriend, you haven't done anything wrong if he hasn't done that yet. He probably has communication problems that he needs to address. So you probably have done all the right things and behaved in all the right ways to make him feel comfortable with you. So it's not your fault that he hasn't said anything. So how would you know? Increase in contact. So what's this mean? Increase in contact or increase in the quality. Increase in the quality of the contact. So if the communication starts out through messages or texts, and then it increases in regularity, maybe instead of once every few days, it goes to once every couple of days, once every day, we know that he probably likes you and probably wants to be with you. I'm sure you've already figured this out, some of you by yourself already, but it's just good to hear it sometimes. It's like, oh, okay, right, so there is progress here. Quality of contact, when things move from, that really should be 3. When things move from texts to calls. Now this is very important. I get a lot of women in their sessions with me asking or expressing their frustrations about this very problem. Well, we're already weeks or months in the relationship and he still texts me or he still messages. He should be calling. Well, shouldn't he? Well, I hope he should. Or don't I deserve a phone call? It's like, yes, you deserve a phone call, and you deserve them regularly. Like potentially if you're going to be together in a proper relationship, potentially living together one day, or maybe in a long-term relationship or married one day, then you really do need to be calling each other, or rather he needs to be calling you. So how to know if he wants a relationship, he moves in kind of increments, gradually texting you more and more and then gradually calling you more and more. So how to know if he wants a relationship. How did I know with you, Jade? Well, with us, it was a very gradual process, and I think that's better rather than, I'll put here, instead of jumping into the deep end, jumping into deep end. People get confused. People get confused if they're in a relationship, if they've jumped into the deep end straight away with the guy that they like, if they have had sex with him quite soon after getting together. So they're already asking the question, how do we know if we're in a relationship, because it started with sex quite early? It is an issue, and you will, I suppose, to know, you will naturally feel confused about whether we're in a proper relationship. See, this is another thing, proper relationship. Are we in a proper relationship? Are we girlfriend and boyfriend, or are we friends with benefits? Friends with benefits, FWB. How to know if he wants a relationship if the friends with benefits is happening. Generally, generally men want a friends with benefits situation. Men. Few women want this situation. Women prefer to have a relationship where they talk every day, see each other every day or every other day, and things gradually progressing. Men like to, this isn't right, by the way, men like to have this gradual, casual thing going and not really put a label on it. So, friends with benefit label, maybe that's the only one that they like, or the relationship label, or we're boyfriend and girlfriend now. I don't know what that means. It's like, well, yeah, well, you do know what it means because you've probably had one before, or you should know by now because you're 25 or you're 55 and you should already know. So, how to know if you're in a relationship, if you're friends with benefits? Probably you need to talk. I keep laughing because you probably need to talk about whether you're in a relationship or not, which in itself will probably make him feel scared, unfortunately. This is not your fault either. Like, you've got every right to know, where are we at? Are we together properly? Can I call you my boyfriend? Like, if I talk to my parents or if I talk to my friends, man that I'm having sex with, man that I'm seeing regularly, can I tell, the people I know that we're together? Which in itself might make him not communicate for a few days, or maybe drop in the communication, and then you're back to wondering, how do I know if we're in a relationship or not? So these are the problems that are not your fault, not his fault exactly, but his fault more often, if I can phrase it like that. So there's an issue with the friends with benefits thing because it can go on for long term, LT, long term, LTRM, LET, anyway. It can go on too long, where you might be friends with benefits for 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, 12 to 18 months. Like, what are we? And you have a right to know what's going on the longer the time progresses without there being a proper label. There's so many thoughts that go through a woman's mind in relation to this topic that consumes her. Well, how do I know if we're together or not? In the event as well that number 5, he has called you his girlfriend. This has happened. He has called you his girlfriend, and yet the contact, the visits, the plans for the visits have not happened. So it's like, oh, well, we've had a few dates and he's called me his girlfriend, and yet he's not calling me more often, or the visits aren't really increasing, or you've had to ask for more visits. Oh, like, well, we're seeing each other once or twice a week. Can we make it a weekend as well? Noticing that, he hasn't made plans to see me. Oh, well, should I text him to casually pretending not to be so invested, pretending not to be excited or sad that, we don't know what's going on. Should I text him to ask? So, it needs to be talked about. If he has given you a title, but his actions aren't really following up, how do you know if you're in a relationship or not? Other relationships. Are they current? Are they in the recent past? Okay. Please subscribe to me on YouTube. Please like me on Facebook, and if you're listening to SoundCloud, or you can listen to me on SoundCloud from these recordings, and follow me there. That'd be great. And thank you to everyone who has already subscribed to me or followed me or liked my page. Thank you very much. So, how to know if he wants a relationship. He is not seeing anyone else, right? Something I also regularly talk about with some of my clients who ring up in a frenzy and go, oh my gosh, I think he's talking to another woman, or he won't let me see his phone, or all these kind of suspicions that make a woman feel, well, are we really together? Because he's being a bit cagey with who he talks to, or he's being cagey with his phone, or why isn't he seeing me more often if I'm the only one who he's meant to be seeing? So how do we know if we're in a relationship? Who was he just with? So that needs to be like gradually weaved out of him. Well, it really depends on how your man is. Like, you might be able to ask him a direct question and, you know, come out with it straight away. You know, what are you doing for the rest of the week? Do you see other women? Are you dating anyone else? Are you still on whatever dating site? Can you give me your phone, please? So it really depends on how open or how cagey your man is. If it's not clear whether you're his only girlfriend, then that obviously needs to be discussed. But a lot of women put that off. Oh, well, I hope I'm the only one he's seeing. Well, I don't want to ask him in case he stops seeing me, or maybe if I ask him, he'll get angry, or I assume because, you know, we're in touch, you know, once or twice a week on the phone, or he visits, so, you know, there's a belief that he is only with you. But any question marks about that, again, need to be sorted out. Ultimately, all this needs to be sorted out as quickly as possible. Instead of you going on for weeks, months, maybe years, not really knowing all the details. Like, you know, one of my clients, she said, she was really, I really felt for her. After 18 months, she found out that he was seeing another woman in between the days when he was seeing her, and he always, not always assured her necessarily that they were together, just the two of them, but he seemed to behave in all of the ways, and she found out because she saw him and her on more than one occasion. So you don't want to wait for it to get to that stage. So how to know if he wants a relationship? He's honest with you, and he answers your questions, really. So that's another thing. That's like a general thing with communication and being open. Com for communication, and it's essential, really. Like, you're not going to really know unless you talk to him about it. Ways that you can make him talk to you about it. This is a game. I don't recommend games, but occasionally they're necessary for you to drop the contact. So he's texting or calling you and he's not answering your questions. Okay, well, I just won't be there one day when he's ringing or calling, or I'm pretending to be the general woman who is wanting to know if she's in a relationship with the man she's seeing. So I might not respond to his text the whole day or for 2 days, or I might let him call 3 times for it to go to voicemail, and then maybe I'll only respond by text but not in a phone call myself. So it's a strategy, a maneuver, not the best way to go about things, but sometimes to make him talk, you can drop your contact. Ignoring him is often the more you ignore, the more, again, these are just, I'm laughing because I remember doing this myself, and I remember telling other women to do these things in a session while simultaneously reminding them this is not the right way to go about things, because you really should be able to be honest. But ignoring him completely, despite calls or texts, will magically make him turn up at your door a lot faster than if you responded just with less contact. So that's a thing. Please like me on Facebook. Please subscribe to me on YouTube, and follow me on SoundCloud, and you can listen to the recordings through there. And okay, so how to know if he wants a relationship? He tells his friends, or puts it on Facebook, or there's some kind of public announcement. Where should I put that? I put that under 8. Oh yeah, family event. Public announcement or friend or family event. Yeah, good point. Where he introduces you as, this is my girlfriend, this is who I'm with. This is, hopefully he doesn't say this is my friend, because then you know where you're at, and then you'll need to have a talk with him, and then you'll probably fight, and then you probably won't talk to each other for a few days or a few weeks, or he won't, or whatever. But announcing you as someone important in his life is a way of him being honest about where you two are at, and not pretending to himself that, oh, we're just still friends with benefits. No, hang on. No, we're actually in a proper relationship. And if he's introducing you to his friends or family, he's trying to progress you two as a couple. So that's a really good sign. If he still hasn't done that, if you still haven't met his friends, if you still haven't met his family, sometimes family, take it or leave it, like, maybe siblings are easier, parents are a whole other story. You don't need approval from his parents or your parents. But siblings, yeah, if he still hasn't done this, introducing you to his friends or family, again, another talk. Or you need to reassess where you two are at and ask yourself, do I want to be with someone who, puts me in this little slice of his life? Because you really need to be in all of his life, like I imagine you would want him in all of your life. So, to summarise, how long have we got? What's the time, Jads?
2 minutes.
Oh, okay. How to know if he wants a relationship? You're probably asking this because you're single. We might get to that same question if you're in a relationship already another time. How to know? He should tell you, or he should ask. That's what he should be doing. If he hasn't done that, the contact will gradually increase and then change from texts to phone calls, and then visits, and then more visits. So if the visits still haven't happened and there's just been a lot of, phone calls or texts, then you need to look at that. Jumping into the deep end, how to know if you're in a relationship. You might not know if you've had sex earlier on. So it needs, again, a talk. Friends with benefits, it's a big grey area. Decide how long you want to be that type of friend for, and a proper label as his girlfriend is going to make you feel more special and important. Men generally want a friends with benefits situation. Women tend to want a proper relationship where things progress and advance and the couple gets closer. If he's already calling you his girlfriend, then you're potentially not wondering how to know if he wants a relationship, because he's actually called you that, a girlfriend already, but all the actions need to be there as well. There can't be any other relationships if you're meant to be together. So that's how you know as well. He's not communicating with his exes anymore, or if he does, he tells you, or they're under very special circumstances. Preferably he's not communicating with them anymore, and he hasn't got a second girlfriend. So that's also very important. Honesty and communication, the first thing, to not needing to know or not needing to ask that question in the first place. How do I know if he wants a relationship? Well, if there's enough honesty and communication in your relationship, or with him, maybe you've already got the honesty and communication, then you wouldn't be confused and stressed. To help him make a step forward in the honesty and communication department, you might choose to ignore his contacts, and that might speed things up. It's a game. I don't recommend it, but it's a tactic. And he will announce you in some sort of public sense or take you to events if he is honestly feeling, yes, she is my girlfriend, she is my potential, wife, what have you. So he will take you to family and friends events. That's a summary. I hope the program has helped you today, and please join me for other shows. Like me on Facebook, I always forget this drill. Subscribe to me on YouTube, and you can listen to the recordings on SoundCloud of the whole video. Have a good night, have a good morning, wherever you are in Australia or the world, and I will see you next time.